Hey guys, and welcome back to New Earth Alchemy, where we're essentially taking one thing and transforming it into another, which is what this episode's about, specifically alchemy, and what is it? Because alchemy has a lot of ancient roots, especially in like the Renaissance type era, but we've really taken it and modernized it a lot. So as where it used to be about turning metals into gold, now it's more of a fluid, more abstract term for just transmutation, taking one thing and turning it into something else. And what we mostly are referring to this day and age when we speak on alchemy is within ourselves and taking ourselves from where we are to where we want to be, turning ourselves into gold. The golden version of ourselves, our highest selves, our best selves. I expand on that a lot by not only giving you tips and stuff, but also by calling it New Earth Alchemy. We're trying to transmutate the world, which, it's just change the world, be the change you want to see in the world, yada yada. But we're coming from it from a more practical outlook. Because it's all got a very magical feel to it, right? Turning lead into gold with chemistry and compounds and, I don't know, something to do with all these really cool symbols. There's lots of symbols. And there's a lot of questions around all of this because, speaking on ancient terms, practicing alchemy was illegal in many countries, which made it kind of underground. And so there's a lot of, secrecy and esotericness around it. And a lot of people wonder if alchemy actually was, we think that they really were trying to take physical lead metals and stuff and turning it into gold. But also, did they know? Did they also consider it to be how we consider it these days? Transmutating yourself from what you are into what you want to be. Both things of which could be very dangerous to those in power. So it's no wonder that they made it illegal. They made it illegal, they say, turning lead into gold could, if they had the power to do that, it could completely overthrow the monarchy. Because if this other person, this random scientist over here, could create money, then what did they really need the monarchy for? Well, they could topple it a lot easier anyway. They didn't want that challenge. But in terms of speaking on taking yourself, a person, and transmutating them, turning them into a better version of themselves, unlocking their power, could also make things very dangerous for those in power. Rulers are only as powerful as those that they rule allow them to be. And if the common folk knew how powerful they were and potentially could be, and this type of knowledge was commonplace, then it would really challenge the structures that were in place. So I thought this was a really good topic to cover, considering we just changed the name of the podcast from Align Vibe Flow to New Earth Alchemy, which are the same thing. It's the exact same thing, just in different words. But the new title is clearer in what we're trying to do. Because for transmutation purposes, alchemy in the person, you have to align to your goals, to your values, to your priorities. You have to, there's 12 laws of the universe that we've covered before, but I'm probably going to cover again here soon because it's been a while. And y'all, we need a refresher, right? So tuning your vibrations, your frequency, your energy to those priorities, to those values, to what you want rather than what you have, so that we can create what we want. We can manifest it. We can make things easier. We can flow into the new earth. Because how did we end up with, because we all agree, right? We all pretty well agree that the people who created culture and society and the earth and have landed us where we are did not do a good job at it. And why did they not do a good job at it? How did we end up here? Was hurt people hurting people. One person's actions and words creates a ripple effect that touches all of those around them. And like attracts like, momentum grows where energy flows. So what do we do? What do we do in this situation? Most of us feel hopeless powerless, like our hands are tied, and where do we go from here? What do we do in this world that we've been dropped into that none of us like and none of us want to be here? Well, we transmutate it. We alchemize it. We take it from where we are, utilizing the 12 laws of the universe, to then turn it into what we want. Backwards engineering exactly how we got here. So if we got here by hurt people, unhealed people, people operating out of greed and pain and despair and desperateness, yada yada, whatever have you, and giving momentum to and growing that type of energy, perpetuating the trauma. The way we fix it is by flipping that around and healing ourselves so that we can spread the healing energy, the good energy, the love and the compassion and the kindness and all of the things that we should have received as children, but most of us did not, and creating ripples in the world of what should have been for us, giving momentum to that. That's how we fix it. And trust me, I know it sounds a whole lot easier than what it actually is. It takes a lot of work because we are vessels of programming. And the programming that operates our brain and our words and our body goes against all of the things that we want to be most of the time. We know we want to be less angry, and yet the anger still rises. We know we want to be more patient, and yet irritation is present. We know we want to be happy and joyful, but depression and anxiety and overwhelm are loud. We know we want to eat better so that we can feel better and love ourselves and our bodies more, but man, French fries and pizza are wonderful. And trust me, I am never going to tell you not to eat the French fries and pizza. But alchemy is overcoming these programs to be more mindful and intentional and aware of what you're choosing, what you're saying, what you're doing, so that you can do it on purpose instead of by default. It's not only creating better habits, but it's also creating better programming so that the habits become easy, so that healing becomes innate and automatic instead of something that we have to work for. Because in the beginning, it is going to be something you have to work for, but it gets easier and easier and easier until it becomes a non-issue and it just becomes your default. And that's what alchemy is, and that's what we do here. I bring you practical step-by-step tips that are easily digestible, easily understood, easily reach-forable to help you take the energy that you have, which includes things, not only the words and the thoughts and the actions, but the energy that you have been given in the form of beliefs and trauma as well, and transmutating the bad, or I don't like the word bad, good and bad are human constructs, the non-helpful into things that are helpful. So getting rid of all of the unhelpful energy and replacing it with, it's replacing, but it's also not replacing. It's transmutation. It's turning it from one thing into another. Because those things are always going to be in the back of your mind, in the back of your programming. They're a part of your backstory, okay? We have that story with us for the rest of our lives, but it's a matter of what we do with it from here on out. We can absolutely crawl into a shadowy corner of despair and drink the rest of our days into oblivion, so we don't have to deal with our trauma, we don't have to deal with our emotions and the thoughts and the terror that comes with it. Or we can take that energy and those stories and turn it into power to work with, using it as motivation and fuel to energize us towards the next level of who we are. Because the greatest revenge is not allowing it to affect you further, right? I don't know if you know who Connor Price and Nick D are. They're wonderful. If you don't, you should look them up. They're music artists, and in one of their songs, a line goes, "Did you get even? No, I got rich." You cannot manifest the abundance that you want in the state that you are in, correct? Because to manifest the abundance that you want, you have to become the type of person who gets those things, who has those things. And the type of person who manifests abundance, who has all of the riches, all of the money, all of the status, all of the success, all of the whatever your goals are. I went really generic with the success achievement goal things, but like they could be anything. Good relationships, good health, whatever. What type of person is the person who achieves those things? The person who has those things? What are their habits? What are they doing on a daily basis? Probably not wallowing in self-pity, right? And that being said, let me tell you, in the beginning, there's a period of time where you do kind of have to wallow in your self-pity for just a minute. And I say that really loosely. It's not really wallowing as much as it is allowing those emotions to exist for a bit, for as long as they need, before they start turning into something more helpful. Let me use an example with like a child, let's say, who's whining and crying. You have a child that comes up to you whining and crying about something. If you just give that child 5 minutes, give or take, sometimes less, sometimes more, to whine and cry, just let them whine and cry for as long as they need to whine and cry about the thing that makes no sense really that they're crying and whining about. But if you just give them the space and the validation to be upset for a little bit, they do naturally. They'll be like, okay, well, I'm done. I can move on now. Because they feel seen and they feel heard and they feel validated. And that's all that your emotions and your trauma wants. They want to feel validated. They want to feel heard. They want to feel understood that what happened to you was wrong. And it was. It's up to you to decide how long you need to cry about it before you feel like you've hit the threshold of, okay, now I feel validated, now I feel understood, now I can start to move on from it, because I'm getting a little tired of repeating the same story over and over again. If you need to tell people, tell people. If you need to cry about it, cry about it. But there has to eventually be a point where you're like, I'm so tired of this. I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of crying about it. I just want to be past it already. And that's the point where you can start to actually heal. That's when the healing starts taking place. Because you can't move forward until you want to. You can't change until you want to. You can't transmutate. You can't alchemize what you have until you want to move to the next step so desperately, until you're tired of where you are and you want so badly to be somewhere else. That's when you can start letting go of the past, of the stories, of the trauma, of the emotions, releasing them so that you can then take the steps to move into your new stories, your new reality. And that's what alchemy is. Now, a lot of us, we have our heart in the right place, and we have these big, grand dreams for ourselves and for those around us and for the world even, but oftentimes we focus on the external to avoid the internal, but the magic is in the internal. We don't want to focus on that a lot. It's probably cognitive dissonance working again. It doesn't innately make sense to us that we change the world by changing ourselves, but that's exactly how it happens, okay? You have to focus on you. You have to, and people, we think it's selfish to focus on us and to meet our needs first, but it's not. It's the only people who find that selfish are the people who are projecting their own unhelpful beliefs onto us, and it has nothing to do with us. And if you feel like it's selfish, it's probably because people have taught you that focusing on your own needs is selfish, and how dare you. But it is a crucial step in alchemy for not only yourself and getting everything that you want, but also for the world. It's so important. If we don't honor our needs as an individual, then we're not going to be at our best to be able to be there for everyone around us and show up the way we want. If our needs aren't being met, it's a lot harder to be patient. It's a lot harder to be not angry. It's a lot harder to choose kindness and compassion in the face of things that are really, 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 really irritating. But if all your needs are met, then you can more easily show up with the kindness, with the patience, with the forethought and clarity and focus, and you can interact and respond rather than react, right? Because that's what it is. It's a reaction. It's that programming taking over instantly when something happens, and you're reacting from your programming in anger, in irritation, in jealousy, or whatever. Sadness and despair, even depression. These are reactions to things in front of us that we're internalizing. And if all of your needs are met in every category, mind, body, relationship, community, we go through the chakras. If all of your needs are met throughout all of the chakras, then you're not really concerned too much with external happenings. You don't really care how people are acting around you. Instead of taking it and being like, well, what did I do to them? It's more of a, man, I wonder what's going on with them that's making them act that way. Or instead of, I can't believe they didn't invite me, it's I wonder if they were too busy and forgot to invite me. Or, maybe I should contact them. Everything becomes a lot less personal if your needs are met. And you start noticing other people's needs not being met. And you're like, oh man, you're awfully angry. Is there anything I can do to help? What you need to talk about it? Or you can just politely not concern yourself with it and move on and keep on trucking along. Not a big deal. And again, it sounds easy. It's not, but it is. It becomes easy. In the beginning, it's not easy, but only because you're working against all of the programming. That's why we call it a practice, right? We're practicing every single day. We're taking all of these practical tips on how to move from where we are to where we want to be, and putting it into practice with pure awareness. Awareness is the only tool that you really need. It's just the hardest part of doing the thing and putting it into practice is the remembering of doing it and putting it into practice, because the programming is so strong. And I'm not going to say it's easier to just go with the programming. A lot of people think it is, and that's why, but see, then that doesn't even feel exactly true. It's more like people are unaware of their own programming and that it's a thing. And if you've never seen a pair of shoes in your life, you don't know that you don't know how to tie your shoes, because what are shoes? I'm sorry. You have to do what with them? So most people are walking around completely unaware of the fact that they have been programmed a certain way, and that all of their problems could be fixed if they just fixed their programming. And they don't even know that the programming is a thing, much less that they need to fix it, or that they can fix it, or should, or whatever. But you do. You know now, and it's not something that you can forget. So congratulations, you made it. We're here for the rest of our lives working on ourselves and the things around us, because there's no going back. Once the curtain is drawn, and you see the man behind the curtain operating the things, or the woman, whatever, the entity, the person, the you. It's the you. It's the consciousness. It's the awareness. Once you have it, once you know, there's no going back. You will forever start to notice your patterns. Now, you can ignore them. You can ignore the fact that they're patterns, and you can choose to blame other people's and the situation and circumstances that you were given, the cards that you were dealt. You can choose to turn a blind eye. But once you notice your patterns and you are aware that that's what's standing in between where you are and where you want to be, it becomes just as equally painful and problematic and traumatizing, I guess, maybe, to stay in those patterns. You start to beat yourself up about repeating them over and over again, which you're going to do for a while. Just be clear. Like, even if you're choosing to work through your programming and create a new programming and you're doing the work, you're still going to have moments where you're like, oh, I did that thing again, man. And like, you're going to beat yourself up. But that's what I'm here for, is to point out that you should not be beating yourself up, and that the best of us are still human, and it just is what it is until it's not. And that's why we practice forgiveness, because you cannot move to the next level. You cannot manifest the abundance that you want if you're unwilling to forgive yourself for the mistakes that you've made in the journey. But that's alchemy, right? It's blood, sweat, and tears in a very non-scary, non-devil worshipping type of way, okay? There's no demons or anything like that involved. It's all mindfulness, awareness, intentional stuff, intentional thoughts and words and actions, choosing rather than reacting, finding what works best for you, which means busting through all of those pre-programmed belief systems that are not helping us. So it's mindset work more than it's habits. It's purely mindset, honestly. Because your mindset comes first, and whatever your mindset is creates your thoughts, your words, your actions, your decisions, your beliefs, which that's what creates your habits, and their habits are what creates your reality. And that's where manifesting takes place. It's actively choosing that instead of waiting on a knight in shining armor to come rescue you and drop you into your palace, your castle, it's choosing to be your own knight in shining armor and doing the work, the inspired work. Inspired action is what we call it, to take the steps to get closer and closer and closer to that reality yourself. Because me talking to you here like this is about as close as anybody can come save you. A few people luck up and have just wonderful mentors land in their lap in real life, but who drag you kicking and screaming into a better life. But that's not the reality for the vast majority of us, okay? The vast majority of us have to learn how to save our own selves. Do you like to gamble? Are you a gambler? I'm not, but bet on you and then take the steps to make it true. So I guess that's that. Alchemy is no longer turning lead or other metals into gold. It is now, in the new age of things, turning yourself into your higher self, your best self, your favorite version of yourself in your life, in your reality, manifesting the reality that you want, that you dream of, making all of your dreams come true for the best of intentions. For the best of intentions, for the good of us all, because it all comes from the heart. That's where the magic is. That's where the soul resides. That's where your intentions, your emotions, your power resonates. And what does the heart love? Well, it loves love, and it loves compassion, it loves kindness, it loves all of those good things that we all love, and makes us all feel all fuzzy and whatnot. So really, if you focus on that, you're going to have a whole lot easier time with all of this. If you're holding on to the hate, the despair, the depression, the anger, yada yada, it goes against our natural nature of love. And it makes it harder because you're working against the grain instead of with the grain. You got to let go of all of that. So if all of this sounds like something you're interested in, you're in the right place. That's what we talk about every week. We give practice episodes on Thursdays through little mini tool meditation guided things. Episodes, they're like 5 minutes long, 5 to 10, something like. Every Tuesday you get something like this. You don't have to do it alone. Reach out to me. We have a Facebook group. We have a community. The more people you add to a thing, the easier the thing becomes. You just have to reach out. None of us, we haven't evolved to telepathy yet. Okay, nobody can read minds as of yet. Well, we can. Some of us can, but we don't know that we can. So we think we're all fabricating it or something, or, we're not going to reach out. We're not going to reach out to you, okay? You have to reach out to us. You have to let us know that you need help. I'm just over here talking to myself if nobody reaches out, you know what I mean? I'm just doing my thing. I don't know who's interested, who's not, unless you tell me. But I love you. Namaste. Oh, hey. I dropped some stickers. I have stickers now in the shop if you're interested. A lot of them are really, I don't know, they're stickers. Go see what you like. Yeah. Anyway, love you. Namaste. Talk to you next week. Stay wonderful.